Hello everyone, it is I, the Witch of Paint, and this week I once again bring you a trash fairy, the third of the bunch, because on my walks through the glen and along the 12 o'clock hills I have once again discovered rubbish that some careless human has thrown to the side of the path. I will be using 4 different images as references. The first one is a loom armband with a flower that I discovered in a small pond in the glen, where my family and I like to go to check on the tadpoles that are in there. The second is some sort of wrapper, I'm not sure of what, but it has a very creepy smiley face dude on it. The third is another bottle of some drink, and lastly we have a hat that was lying around, perhaps lost and placed there so the person who lost it may find it again. The last 3 were all found on my walk through the 12 o'clock hills, but that's not their fault. Now, I do not wish to repeat my points from first and second video of this series. You can just go watch those if you would like to. I'll leave a link to the playlist down below and in the end card thingy. Now, let's see what the waste situation here in Ireland is exactly, and why I end up finding so much rubbish on the walks here. It's not just in Ireland, obviously, but I live here, so I kind of was a little bit curious to see what the situation here is in Ireland. And I found some statistics from the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency here in Ireland. Link to their website down below. Their statistics, I think, are from 2020. At least that's what it said underneath the sort of different groups that they've put up for the trash. In total, Ireland produces more than 14 million tonnes of waste a year. Take away the waste produced during constructions and demolitions, which is 8.2 million tonnes, and the hazardous waste, which is 466,000 tonnes in 2020, pulls that waste per year down to 5,334,000 tonnes a year. Divide that by the 5 million people who live in Ireland at the moment. Well, around about 5 million. I just kind of rounded that up a little bit. And we get to 1 tonne of waste per person per year, which makes around 2.7 kilograms of waste per day for everyone, which obviously consists of household waste, tires, composting, food, packaging, biodegradable waste, and I think maybe old cars as well, though they had a weird percentage. I think they mostly get reused, those old cars, so probably not the old cars, but then again, I'm not a statistics expert, but so about 2.7 kilograms of waste per day is a little bit much still, especially if you consider how light some of this waste is, like especially the plastic waste. That is a really big pile of rubbish. But okay, fair enough, 2.7 kilograms, that's a lot for a day, but you're going to have to bear in mind that that's just the regular waste that regular people produce in their households. The industry produces a lot more rubbish than us regular people. I've just kind of wanted to say that. Fair enough, Ireland wants to catch up with the other countries in Europe industrially and stuff, and with buildings and stuff. So, you know, understandable to your point, but more than double the waste that normal people produce seems quite a bit much to me. Anyways, we wanted to figure out how much of the waste produced ends up in nature. And I don't think it's very clear, probably, so the first numbers I could find are from askaboutireland.ie. Pedestrians are responsible for 41% of littering. Passing motorists produce around 22.8% of littering. But 53% of all littering is cigarette related. Consider how small cigarettes are and how many you would need in order to get half, well, more than half of all littering. Just gonna put that there. Nothing against smokers, it just seems a little very suspicious to me. Now, I didn't find an exact number of how much litter is out there in Ireland, at least not as in Ireland as a whole, I found a number that said in Wicklow and Dublin Uplands, as part of a pure project, which is linked below, there have been 30 tonnes of illegally dumped waste collected there every month. Just let that sink in a little bit. 30 tonnes every month. How is this possible? In a society that technically knows how dangerous plastic can be to the environment, and that the waste we dump there is going to stay there for a really long time, and it's going to slowly poison the environment. Where's human common sense? Now, Ireland does have a phone line that can be called to report offenders of littering. It is not easy, however, to catch them in the act, let alone trace it back to someone. Like, you can't just look at a yogurt cup and go, oh yeah, that's, I don't know, Mr. Smith from down the street, that's his yogurt cup. You can't do that exactly, you have no proof in that case. But if you are caught, you can most certainly expect an on-the-spot fine of €150 and more fines if you continue doing it. But again, you'd have to catch them first, and it's not that easy, really. That doesn't mean, though, that you can simply get away with littering. You shouldn't even be considering throwing your trash out there into nature, and it horrifies me that despite the amount of things we know about the dangers of littering, the damage it does, how harmful and toxic it is, that there are still so many people littering. It is a horrifying thought for me. Like, how is this possible? We should be able to deduce from simple human common sense that maybe, just maybe, we should be throwing this in the bin where it will hopefully be taken care of properly. But no, we've got people throwing their trash out into rivers, into nature, into woods, into glens, into places they shouldn't be. And this is why I paint my trash fairies. Because of these people. Because there are far too many people who still litter, not just in Ireland, but all around the world. I want these trash fairies to draw attention to this issue and visualize to people what this trash looks like in nature. This should not be an out of sight, out of mind kind of deal. Even if it's cleaned up in hindsight by people who care, those who do not care will continue with their littering ways, regardless of how much of a fine this could cost them, because most people don't even know that there is a fine. I didn't know that there is a fine before I googled it. People would have to first look up if this is going to cost them a fine, but obviously nobody's going to think about that when they just don't think that there's going to be consequences for littering. But now, if you've stumbled upon this video, now you know that, at least in Ireland, we've got a fine, and I'm sure that there's other countries who also have fines for littering, and maybe next time, if for those people who do litter, you guys are going to stop and think if it's going to be worth a fine or not. Now, what one solution to this problem would be that people take a bag with them if they are going to take, I don't know, cookies or biscuits or whatever onto a trip down in the glen or on a walk somewhere. It doesn't really matter where, but a solution would be that people take their bag with them so that they can put the rubbish into that bag and then take it home, instead of throwing it out onto the side of a path. That would be a very simple solution. Even if bins aren't there, you're going to have a bin, which is your bag. So it's not really that difficult, is it? A different solution would obviously also be to just not buy plastic wrapped things, because after cigarette butts, the main offender of littering is candy wrappers and plastic bottles. Maybe a reusable bottle would be nice, you know? I mean, these are probably solutions that so many people have already proposed, but clearly a lot of people don't get the memo. Like, what's more effort or more, draining for your wallet? Buying a new water bottle from the shop every time you want to have a drink? Or refilling that water bottle you have several times underneath a tap with a tap water? Which one is cheaper and less effort? it really isn't that hard to stop yourself from littering. I really don't think that it's that hard. Now, enough about that depressing topic. I think everyone gets it now. Let's talk about my painting. As with my other trash fairies, the main body of the fairy will be painted in grey tones while the wings are in colour. This is again to just kind of draw attention more towards the wings of the fairy rather than the fairy herself. I chose to paint this painting in a landscape this time, with the fairy sitting in the middle, hunching over a wilting flower, while her wings spread out across the page, each showing one of the items I have photographed during my walks. The top left wing shows the loom armband in the tadpole pond. The wing below it shows the packaging with the creepy smiley dude. The top right wing has the plastic bottle, and the bottom right wing shows the lost hat. All items that are in places they should not be. While bins may solve the problem for the glen a little bit, mind you, there's not enough space further along the glen for a bin, so let's cut them some slack. And the same for the 12 o'clock hills. Like, imagine having to pay someone not only collect bin bags from bins, but also having to pay them to go on a 13-kilometer hike, some of it which is through some rather difficult terrain. And yeah, no, I don't think that's going to happen. So, guys, just take your rubbish home. Thank you. Anyway, I said I was going to leave that topic behind for now. Let's talk about the painting again. I used my Van Gogh watercolours for this. Did I remember to swatch these in between the videos? Nope. So I am not sure which colours I used in all of this. Lemon yellow was definitely one of them, as was my pink colour. I don't remember the actual name of the pink colour. But I also used cerulean blue, and the fairy body was painted using neutral tint and Payne's grey. Most of the other colours, though, I do not remember which ones it was that I had used. Let's take this as a reminder for myself to just swatch these colours already. I ended up giving her mostly generic butterfly wings, just because the focus of this fairy is the trash, not the wings. For a while, I also considered doing a sort of reflection fairy, so like two fairies where one is in a happy, healthy environment while the other lives in a world with trash. I will hold on to that idea, but if you do want to see that, let me know. I'll make more trash fairies regardless, because a few of these videos are not going to be enough to change anything about the problem itself. People have to wake up and start thinking about their actions, but in order for that to happen, you must shake them properly, otherwise they'll just stay asleep in their usual habits and won't stop, won't care, and won't listen. Anyways, I started out by painting the fairy body in grey, as that was the simplest of these parts. The loom band was a little bit difficult to paint, as it was underwater and I wasn't sure how to get that across. In the end, I think I should have left it, since nobody would actually know this was supposed to be underwater just from looking at it. Except, of course, for literally everyone who's watching this video right now. Hi, guys! Anyways, I wish I hadn't gone over it all with some diluted blue, as that smudged all the colours and made everything a lot duller than in the reference. I tried to save it by mixing some opaque white with yellow, and while it does look okay in the end, I think it looked better before I did that, just in my own opinion. Sadly, I do have to admit that as a child, when I was little, I made myself bracelets out of loom bands, just like this one as well. Back then, little me, of course, didn't think about the consequences of these tiny, cheap, easily ripped rubber bands that I was decorating my arms with. Since then, though, I haven't touched a single loom band ever. I am so out of that phase, so over those brightly coloured, cheap rubber bands. It was just sad to see something I had fun with as a kid lying around in a tadpole pond. It just makes me uncomfortable. Of course, it's not my bracelet, and in turn, it's not my fault that this bracelet is lying in that pond. But still, it just kind of makes me wish that companies would stop producing toys made from plastic for kids. The other three images were rather simple to paint, as they didn't have so many individual things crisscrossing each other. Sure, the wrapper was very wrinkly, but that was about it. The hat got a similar colour palette to the fairy body, as it was a grey hat, and it had some nice braid pattern on it, which I tried to get across using shadows. Now, as this video is done, let us take a look together at the final result of our trash fairy. Not gonna lie, even if I am doing this for a upsetting reason, each of these trash fairies looks really beautiful. There's something oddly pretty about them. Sad as it is that there are images of litter inside their wings, but this reflects my feelings on walks very well. I see the beauty of nature and then the ugliness of a trash that has been thrown into it carelessly by some ignorant human. It is incredibly upsetting for me, and I do wish that people would just use their common sense and not do that, you know? Anyways, if you enjoyed this video and like what I do, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out a lot. Don't forget to like this video as well and leave a nice comment. Check out the links to my Instagram, Twitter and Twitch in the description, and also, if you wish, take a look at the sources below. As for now, I am the Witch of Paint, and I shall see you all next Sunday. Bye! Oh, you've managed to make it to the end of this video. Well done! I'll give you it as a reward in the form of outtakes. Have fun! Like, you can't just look at a yogurt package box. No, wait, what are they called? Yogurt cup. There we go. Now, enough of that depressing topic. Depressing. I chose. I chose. Da-dun.